sisters, we've all turned up the radio to hear Brother Jimmy Lakey, from coast to coast and shore to shore. Now raise your voice, oh let us all Jimmy Lakey, get out of bed, Jimmy Lakey, raise your voice, Jimmy Lakey, Lakey, hey, can't live without it with Jimmy Lakey, Jimmy Lakey.
Well, that's me, isn't it? And the choir is singing. What a joyous sound to hear my name sung first thing in the morning. Oh, how we love Jimmy. At least I like to hear it. I'm sure all of you do as well. Good morning, everybody. Hump Day, halfway till Friday, the 29th day of October, year of our Lord, 2025. Pleasured, pleased, and thrilled. And I got my cup of coffee here, right here in my hand. This is River's Promise on the mug. This is River's Promise in the background. Glad to have all of you that do support our charity work in Africa. We'll talk more about that in just a bit. But I know all of you are wondering on this Hump Day, as it comes across the screen. I've been seeing those comments come in since the pre-show began. Many of you wanting to know how it went with jury duty. Let's just say, if you, and I've learned this through the years, if you fill out your paperwork that says conservative talk host and commentator and podcaster, you usually get shown the door pretty quickly. And I'll also tell you, another thing you do is you wear an I Love the Police shirt. Or a MAGA hat, or a button or a pen that says, deport them all. And needless to say, I was not needed for my jury services yesterday, but I appreciate all of you missing me. I know a lot of you woke up yesterday morning. And how did you spend your morning? Did you do anything productive since you didn't have this program to tune into? I hope you did something productive, or maybe you just lamented. Maybe you kind of went biblical and you put on the old sackcloth and the ashes, and you had a day of mourning that your Lakey was not on your Tuesday. I don't know. Feel free to jump in and let us know. But nevertheless, we're back here behind the microphone, and I've had many people. I saw somebody that comment said, "Did you give them the chair?" I had text messages coming in yesterday. Are they guilty? Of course they're guilty. That's what that's the other pin. You have one that says, then you can swap out your MAGA hat for one that says ICE, and that really gets you put off jury duty. They don't need my services. So anyway, welcome back to the program with me, and you and I together, as Peaches and Herbs said, I believe in the early 1980s, reunited, and it feels so good, reunited. And it feels so good. All right, glad to have you here on the program, everybody. I was happy. Shyla says dentist. I don't know what that means, but Shyla, thanks for tuning in today in the chat rooms. I'm not exactly sure what that means. It sounds like a case of Tourette's going on out there and just shouting out things. All right, Michael Letts is coming up on the program here in just a bit. And Michael Letts is a big-time fella, and we're going to have him on the program. That's coming up, a law enforcement guru, investusa.org. He'll be on the program. Also, don't forget, it's National Cat Day. So to all of you, happy National Kitty Cat Day, National Pussy Cat Day, National Cat. I've had a pet cat before, and growing up, we had pet cats. We had two. We had one named Samson. He was a big old cat, and he was one of those cats that would like to go tomcat, is what it was called. It took me a while to learn what that was. And he would disappear for a few days outside, and old Samson would come back home, usually scarred and bruised, and somehow he survived. And we had another cat named Delilah. They were kind of a thing. They had both been, they had both been fixed, but Samson still wanted to go tomcatting. It was so strange. Anyway, so National Cat Day. Feel free to give ode, and to your cats out there, feel free. I know that the lesbians who drive these Subarus are probably very excited about Cat Day, and so are the gay guys that take the theater class. No, I no joke. I mean, I'm joking. That's just. Oh, Shyla says she went to the dentist instead of listening to me. Yes, she went to the dentist. Okay, Shyla, good. It was just this random dentist. And I'm like, I don't know where that came from. It just pops up on my screen in random time. So Shyla went to the dentist instead of listening to me. And so today, I mean, picture that one. If you listen to Lakey or you go to the dentist, either way is going to bring you great pain. All right, National Cat Day, welcome. You ready to dive into some news? We got some headlines we want to dive into here this morning, and let's do it, shall we, together? By the way, don't forget. Oh, Jeff says, did Laura Carno get pushed to today? I texted Laura Carno, and she was cruel and unusual. And I said, Laura, would you like to go on Monday or would you like to go on Wednesday? And she says, I'm busy this week. Could I just take the week off? And I said, Laura, because I'm such a fantastic person, I'm going to give you the day off, the week off, and I'm going to do it with pay. she was stunned. And she was happy. She was very happy, as she always is with me, as you can tell when you see her on the program. And so Laura's not with us this week. She'll be back next week. But Laura was one of those people that were cruelly taunting me, saying, I hope you get on a trial. I hope you get on a big, long trial. I'm like, I didn't. So Laura is probably very disappointed this morning, probably so verklempt and upset that I didn't get on a trial that she just probably not even herself today. But anyway, we'll talk about enough about Laura Carno, okay? Enough about her. She gets her attention here once a week, and we're happy for that. Don't bring her up again. She was texting me. I hope you get on a trial. All right, let's dive into the news. What do you say, everybody? Michael Letts is coming up on the program. It's National Cat Day. Before I dive into the news, I got a question of the day. There was a story circulating in our pre-show conversation about the 14 worst TV families of all time. And I was, producer Chad and I were talking about them. It comes from BuzzFeed. People are sharing the morally bankrupt families on TV, and I would not want to be in the same room as these people. And so producer Chad and I started going through the list, and it's like 4 different families from the show Game of Thrones, which I might have watched a half an episode. It just wasn't my thing. Thank you very much. Game of Thrones, a show called Succession I'm not familiar with. Veep. And so basically, as you get through the whole list of the top 10, you realize every family that HBO has ever created is an evil family. And I didn't know most of them because I don't get the HBO, right? I just don't watch it. So the BuzzFeed puts out the list of worst families that are on television, and it's an HBO lineup. So producer Chad and I decided to be much more positive and I guess affirming in our nature. So we want to say, what is your favorite TV family? What is your favorite TV family? And we can go all time. It doesn't have to be current. Are there any current families out there? Especially, I'd love to hear those because I'm not that familiar with them. I am watching an interesting Netflix series. I'd found this a couple of years old, but I've been enjoying a little sitcom there. But I ask you the question, who is your favorite TV family of all time? Mine is very easy. Matter of fact, as soon as the question came up, producer Chad said, well, I know who yours is. And I'm like, thank you. Wonderful. Hugh Beaumont, Barbara Billingsley, Tony Dow, Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. I'm a fan. So anyway, who's your favorite TV family? That's the question of the day. If you're new to the show, all you got to do is post up those questions of those answers of the day into whatever platform. If you're on any of the many Facebook pages we're streaming on, the Rumble, the Twitters, the YouTube, you can comment as well. We'd love to hear from you. Who is it that is your favorite TV family? And we can go all time, but if you'd like to also give us somebody more current, feel free to. I'll make a note to give you my Netflix recommendation. It's kind of a fun show. I've enjoyed watching it the last several days, and I've had a couple of times. Anytime I've had some extra time, I'm going through this binge watching it is what they call it. And I'm binge watching a Netflix family. It's a very dysfunctional family, by the way. All right, the Munsters. Dave says his favorite family of all time is the Munsters. Now, when you put that up, Dave, you're probably going to need to give us a little bit of an explanation. There you go. Did I see somebody just pop in? William pops in on the Facebook, and he says he's Crazy Bill from Loveland. Crazy Bill used to call the old radio show back on the 600 KCOL iHeart Kingdom days. Bill, good to hear from you there. And now, pleasure to have you. Glad you found us over here. Crazy Bill. Well, if Crazy Bill's on the call board, you knew you're in trouble. All right, we'll get into all of the family. Archie Bunker's family, that was a favorite one. Who is your favorite TV family? Crazy Bill says the Bundys are his crazy TV family. Mine, again, Hugh Beaumont, Barbara Billingsley, Tony Dow, Jerry Mathers as the Beaver. Leave It to Beaver is a big one for me. Ray likes Lamont and Fred from Sanford and Son, or the Jeffersons. Jefferson's a fantastic show. It's also Sanford and Son. That was also good. Keep them coming. We'll come back and read some of these in a second. But right now, let's dive into the headlines. What do you say? Government shutdown continues. Paychecks do not. How many of you are hearing anything from your friends, your neighbors, your relatives, anybody out on the streets? Are they upset by the shutdown? Have they been affected by it? I've mentioned on the program, I know a friend who is in a federal firefighting military base fire station, and he's not getting paid. Got a couple of people that I know that are in the TSA, including producer Chad's daughter is a TSA agent and not getting paid. What say you? What are you hearing out there? The poll numbers show that the government shutdown that we're underway is still kicking back and not looking good for the Democrats. Maybe they're trying to find a way out of it. I'm not exactly sure, but my friends, let me know what you're hearing on the streets. Man and woman on the streets interviews. I want you to go out there and tell me what you're hearing out there. The water cooler. Is anybody noticing the government shutdown, or any of you personally being affected? I think we're on day 29 of it. Is that Yeah, the screen says day 29, so it's got to be right. Day 29, and this next week at this time, it will become the longest government shutdown in U.S. history. Also coming to an end on November the 1st, so by the weekend, the SNAP, or what we used to call food stamp benefits, are going to go away, and that's not a good thing for people who are dependent on that. I think one of the things that could be a positive if people get the information is you're talking about SNAP or food stamps, and the benefits, it's about $332 is the regular benefit per family for the SNAP. And if suddenly you don't have the $332 to go buy your groceries or your food, suddenly you probably have a real problem on your hands, correct? Well, the SNAP benefits are going to end. They're not going to be available as of Saturday. But I think one of the interesting things that sometimes light hits these situations and you start to realize something. Think of all the times recently that what was meant for evil turned out to be kind of good for you. Locking the kids down, having them sitting in front of a computer because of the COVID-19 booger cootie virus. And all of a sudden, parents started saying, wow, what are they teaching my kids? It was a wake up. It was an awakening that happened. I wonder if this could be an awakening that we start to realize, what is it about our government? What is it about our society that 1 in 8 families actually is receiving some kind of a benefit from SNAP? Did you know that? The numbers are high. There's a lot of areas that are much more coordinated, and you can look at a map that has the different levels of food stamps or a SNAP in an area. Colorado is one of the better states as far as people being on the food stamps for the SNAP. Wyoming is very good on the map that I saw this morning. They don't have a lot of folks on it, but you get to some of these other places around the coastal areas, even in the South, you got a lot of folks on the food stamps, the SNAP program, and those benefits are not going to be there as of Saturday. If the statistics are correct, there's a 1 in 8 chance people watching this very show are on the food stamps or the SNAP. So I think one of the revelations or the awakenings that gets to happen during this whole government shutdown is when you start to realize the SNAP benefit goes away. Did you realize that 1 in 8 people are actually receiving SNAP benefits? And I fully understand that there's people who need the SNAP benefits. I totally get it. But do we have too many people on that? And if we have that many people and every one of them, 1 in 8, need the SNAP benefits, I have to ask you the question, how do we start to lower that number? And because that's a really high number, the higher number that I thought it would be. And again, some areas are probably a little bit different, but overall in America, 1 in 8 people are on what we call the food stamps, and those benefits go away as of November the 1st because of the government shutdown. So please let me know what you're thinking out there. It is amazing that of all the people that are not getting paid, all the subsidies that are not going out there right now, the Congress is still getting paid if they want to. Now, some Republicans are ceremoniously giving up their paycheck and not taking their paycheck while the federal employees are not. But of all the places that are getting paid, you're a member of Congress. That means Chucky Schumer and AOC and Jasmine Crockett are still getting their direct deposit while you're out there kind of figuring out how you're going to pay the bills if you lives totally off your paycheck, or maybe if you have the SNAP benefits, you're wondering how you're going to do that. I'd love to get your thoughts on that whole thing. The government shutdown continues. I've got another story, the Christians winning in the parking lot. You say, Jimmy, what do you mean? As we dive into the headlines, what does Christians winning in the parking lot mean? Well, did anybody in high school, you had a parking spot when you got the big kid, drove your car to school, and you had a parking lot? Well, we didn't have assigned parking spots. You just first come, first serve. And if somebody was an underclassman, got in a good spot, you might rough them up a little bit in a very nice and kind, Christ-like way, of course. But we didn't. I know that some schools, and I've heard of this tradition, that have painted their parking spot. So every year a senior is assigned a parking space, and they're allowed to repaint that space to reflect their personal interest and, their football number, whatever. So they kind of decorate their parking spot their senior year. Well, this is a Colorado-centric story. We'll go to our guest after this, Michael Letts. But the Colorado-centric story in the headline, a Colorado high school student who challenged her school's ban on religious designs for her parking space is now going to be able to repaint her space to reflect her Christian faith. Here's the story. In August, Sophia Shoemaker in Colorado at Rampart High School in Colorado Springs Academy, District 20, requested special permission to decorate her paid parking space with a design illustrating Jesus's parable of the lost sheep. The school has a tradition of allowing seniors to reserve and pay for their own parking space and decorate it with school-approved artwork. So Shoemaker's design featured a shepherd, a staff, and a sheep, along with the reference to Bible verse 1 Corinthians 13:4. But the school administrators rejected it. They're in Academy District 20, citing a district policy prohibiting religious imagery. Shoemaker was forced to make a different design, which she found deeply disappointing given the importance of her faith. She said, she told Fox News Digital, I was honestly upset just because other people were getting to express themselves, and I wanted to express my Christianity. That's my whole identity. I just wanted to express that. She says, I've been watching Charlie Kirk for as long as I remember. He's been the one that really influenced my religion and speaking out about what's right and stuff like that. So he was a really big part in this whole process. Shoemaker sought help from the First Liberty Institute, a Texas-based legal organization that defends religious freedom. The group sent a demand letter to the district, arguing that the policy violated her First Amendment rights. The letter said several schools within the same district allow symbols like crosses and other Christian references. This district's inconsistent policies demonstrate that seniors' messages on the parking spot, including those, are private speech and not government speech. Well, First Liberty demanded the district rescind the unconstitutional policy, and on Tuesday, First Liberty announced that the district has agreed to change the policy and will allow Shoemaker to repaint her space. Academy District Board 20 has confirmed that the policy would be changed forward to keep things clear and for all students, as seniors would be allowed to repaint spaces upon request. And good for her, taking them to court, threatened some lawsuits, make a couple of paperworks, and these educrats or education bureaucrats have said, oh yeah, you can paint that space, and never mind, we didn't mean it. Isn't that great? That's fantastic. Good for Miss Shoemaker in Colorado, and glad that she's going to get to put the decoration she wants in her parking space. Did you guys do anything like that in high school to decorate your parking spots? I've heard of it before, and I knew people did it, but we never had any. But if we never did that. All right, got more headlines we'll get to. We got the government shutdown now. We got the Christians win in the parking lot. I have a question that's coming up after Michael Letts. It has nothing to do with Michael Letts, but there's some websites out there that say today's a big day. There's a lot of bloggers, a lot of people that are smart that say today is the day that aliens will make contact to Earth. It could be the day the little aliens, I'm not sure if the little green men, little green women, I don't know, little asexual creatures. It could be the day that aliens actually will come and say, take me to your leader. That's a lot of the space heads out there. A lot of people that pay attention to this stuff are thinking that today could be the day that there's going to be alien contact for the first time. So prepare your hearts. I'll get to the story here in just a moment. Non-related to the story aforementioned about alien contact, I'd like to make contact now. In the green room waiting is Invest USA's founder, director. It's Mr. Michael Letts, investusa.org. Michael, good morning, sir.
Well, good morning, Jimmy. It's always a privilege to be with you. Those aliens had better be careful where they land. There might be some get caught in the crossfire in Venezuela or some other hot spots. So you need to send them a message ahead of time.
Be careful.
Check with us first where you're going to park your vehicle. We'll try to paint it for you so that you'll know exactly where to land.
Yeah, I hope I had jury duty yesterday, and I didn't get chosen. They did not need my services. But I was thinking that maybe I should wear an ice hat or deport them all button or something. And I would encourage the aliens, depending on where they land today to make contact, to consider their wardrobe. Maybe a red hat would be appropriate in some places, maybe not. I don't know.
Depends on where they're landing, Jimmy. You know, when they might need to leave the display of the shotgun on the spaceship, or they might need to hide it, depending on where they're going to be parking at.
Yeah. You land in my county, you show up with a gun, you're going to be welcomed with open arms. It's going to be a wonderful thing. That's I live in the I live in that place in the great state of Colorado. All right, Michael, let's dive in. First of all, let's do this. Invest USA. We keep seeing these rioters or these protesters or whatever they are putting our men and women in danger on the streets, or just simply trying to enforce a federal law. They're not, it's not a military state. There's laws on the books, and they're just trying to enforce it. And these crazies out there funded by other crazies are wreaking havoc, putting law enforcement agents and officers in danger. And you are committed through Invest USA to make sure these men and women in the uniform and serving their community, protecting and serving, are protected. Talk about Invest USA. Let's do that up front.
Well, thank you so much, Jimmy. You know, at the stage of life that we're in our country, it's a shame, but it's actually very vital that making sure that we provide these necessary equipment for our first responders, because, you know, they've got the Southern Cartel District has a $10,000 bounty per head. We've got crazy people now talking about Governor Newsom, former Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and all, AOC, who are actually telling the public that they're going to use their powers as elected officials to force local and state law enforcement to arrest federal agents who are arresting illegal immigrants. I mean, they just really crossed the line there. That is obstruction of justice. And we sent a message back this morning that go ahead, and we'll be there by noon, hopefully, with some handcuffs specially designed just for you. So it's just, but that kind of rhetoric, Jimmy, just places them further in harm's way, knowing that they do not have active shooter vests to protect themselves. It's more vital than now than ever that they get that done. And so we encourage everyone to visit our website, investusa.org, and make sure these officers do two things. Make sure you tell them you appreciate the service. They're crazy to be serving now with that kind of attitudes. And the second thing is we want to make sure you come home safe to your kids and your grandkids. Make sure you provide a donation to provide vests for these officers.
Investusa.org. We'll keep it on the screen here off and on throughout the interview. And it's a great time. Again, we're through my charity and your charity, everybody's about to head the last couple of months of the year for fundraising to hit the goals. So Invest USA is a great place to put some money in. Let's come back to this craziness that Gavin Newsom has said. Nancy Pelosi's hinted that maybe we should arrest these people. Pritzker has said once Trump's out of office, we're going to look at going after these ICE agents. You know, I saw the number, the statistic of how many of these ICE agents are not like white guys like me. They're people that live in the community, and sometimes those communities are very, let's say, diverse. And so there's a lot of diversity in ICE. It's not just a bunch of white people out there trying to get rid of illegals. But even Pritzker's threatening to one day bring the hammer of justice to anybody who serves with ICE right now. The Department of Justice has stepped up and given a little bit of a warning. Let's break down, first of all, what has the Department of Justice said to places like California that are threatening ICE agents?
Well, you take a look at it, Jimmy. Let's put all the facts out on the table. You know, when this country was founded, we had 13 states. We decided that we couldn't defend from the British and overcome the British unless we united as one. It'd be kind of weird to have 13 little different militias running around deciding whether they want to join each other for a fight or whether they want to go pick their own. So we created the United States of America, the federal government. We gave it certain responsibilities. The rest of them stayed with those states. However, one of the responsibilities is to provide for the common defense. That means to have a military force, National Guard force, and a federal force that oversees and makes sure that people can't run from one state to another to escape justice because of jurisdictional boundaries. And so that's just the Constitution. That is the way it is set up, Jimmy. And for an elected official to say, we no longer recognize the Constitution, we think we have ultimate authority now, and we're going to order our people to arrest any federal people within our state, is not just ludicrous, it's dangerous. That is obstruction of justice. It is a felony, and I don't care whether you're the governor, the Speaker of the House, the president. I mean, well, not the president, excuse me, he's a federal official. But, you know, whether you're any other local or state official, if you do that, you are obstructing justice. You're automatically guilty of a felony. You will be prosecuted. You won't be sending a little nasty letter saying, hey, don't do this again, otherwise we're going to be very upset with you. We're going to go in. We're going to knock on the door because we're very nice people. But if we don't get a response, we're going to kick the door in. And we're going to come in and take you from behind your little desk, put little cuffs on you, and take you to jail. You cannot put federal law enforcement officers, the military, or anybody else in danger because you decided you didn't like the Constitution and were going to become the president of your state instead. Doesn't work that way, Jimmy.
Yeah. I remember in the Obama term, there was a governor of Arizona. I think her name was Jan Brewer. And Jan did not think that they were cleaning up Arizona and keeping Arizona safe from these illegals. And she decided she was going to enforce her own border policy. And I don't remember all the intricacies of it. I'm not in Arizona, I remember high level. She got slapped down by the Supreme Court. And the courts have said, no, the federal government is in charge of border policy. It's not something state by state. And you're just going to have to suck it up, Buttercup. Obama's in charge here. Isn't it amazing? I believe that the left celebrated that choice. Jan Brewer was told that the states don't have authority. It's the federal agencies. And now they're wanting to arrest the federal agents.
Well, what it shows very clearly, Jimmy, is that these leftist liberal ideology have no regard for a law, rule of law, or a constitution, which means they have no regard for you. Whatever works best for them to maintain power, to flex their muscle, that's what they're going to do. I find it interesting. I heard you talking a minute ago about the SNAP program. 50% of that SNAP budget goes to illegal immigrants. I'm sorry, Jimmy, but I mean, I don't want anybody to starve. But you came to this country illegally. It's not the Americans' responsibility to feed, clothe, and house you. It just doesn't work that way. You come legally, we'll do what we can to help you. You don't, then basically you made a decision to kind of freelance it on your own. So good luck.
That's what I wondered when I saw these numbers prolifically high. They say 1 in 8 Americans are on a SNAP benefit of some sorts. And I said, is that American citizens? Is that people that are, so 1 in 8 Americans? And I was wondering that would count for some of those illegals that are here.
Yeah, it's over 50%. I'm being nice by saying 50%. It's over 50%. And, I love the way you see how they manipulate things. America, just because you're happy to have your 2 feet planted on America's soil doesn't make you an American.
Yeah.
You have to be a citizen to be an American. They don't seem to understand basic education, basic social study programs and history.
Michael Letts is my guest. You're listening later in the day for thousands of earballs throughout the course of the day and the week. We'll hear this program. Michael Letts, investusa.org, investusa.org. Michael, let's switch gears. President Trump has been bringing peace on earth, goodwill towards men. He's stopped another we talked about all the wars that he stopped. Everybody's talking about the Nobel Peace Prize, etc. There's one little area that's not really behaving that well. We got Putin and Ukraine, but I think we're still working on that one. But there's one area that's kind of gone rogue on us, and that is Venezuela. That is some of the Latin American areas. And President Trump, he's making peace everywhere else, but he's bombing the heebie-jeebies out of anybody suspected of smuggling drugs. Now Venezuela's kind of getting all fancy and trying to flex their muscle. We're going to go to war with the Venezuelans. You're a former Green Beret. Tell us.
Well, here's the funny part about it, Jimmy. No, we're not going to go to war. You say, what do you mean by that? Look at what we did in Panama and Grenada. We've already set the precedent. We don't need to declare war. What does it mean we go to war? We go into war. We go in and overthrow, unconditional surrender, overthrow the government, reestablish a new government, and occupy for a period of time until things are settled. We have no need to do that in Venezuela. 2 reasons why. First of all, Maduro is a drug lord. So we take out the drug lords, Maduro won't have any of his bodyguards around to protect him, and he'll be gone probably within 15 minutes after we complete the mission. The second thing is we know exactly where the drug manufacturing facilities are. We know where their guards are, if you want to use that word. We know where their forces are. And we have the best special forces at 10,000 troops sitting in ships off the coast of Venezuela in case we need them. We're not saying we do. In case we need them. And we have all the extraction and insertion aircraft necessary in the region already. So what will happen, Jimmy, is this. You'll wake up one morning and then go throughout the day, wake up the next morning, and the operation will be over. It won't take us long to go in and eliminate. Remember, we're not going in and knocking on the door and say, can we smoke a peace pipe or can we have a cup of coffee with you? We're going in with one purpose, and that's to eliminate the threat. And that's what it is. Let's put it in perspective, Jimmy. How many hundreds of thousands, probably even over 1 million now, of our young people have been killed by fentanyl and other drugs that they've been bringing in with their gang members, Trinidad, and others? How many murders, rapes, etc. they put on our society? We're not going to tolerate it anymore. This is a different sheriff in town. We told you. We were very nice. First of all, on your ships, we told you we fired one over the bow. Let us review your cargo. Nope. I'm going to try to outrun the U.S. Navy. Big mistake. 12 of them so far on the bottom of the ocean. Second of all, we put all of our military presence. We didn't just land it overnight in the cover of darkness. We put them out on the coast saying, we're here. Now, we have one simple request. Make sure that if you're going to continue to do drugs, none of it goes north. That's all we're asking. Yeah. And Maduro decides to flex his muscle because he's a drug lord. He is actually in the cartel. He's a heavy member of the cartel. You're not going to interrupt our cash flow. We're going to take it wherever there's a market. And fixing to find out, big mistake. The same as you remember Mexican northern cartels, when they ambushed and tortured and murdered those 9 college students. You don't hear anything about the northern cartels anymore. Well, the southern cartels are fixing to meet the same fate. Mexico, I guess you just kind of waited around. We had to do the job for you, but we're happy to do so if it protects American citizens.
Again, the voice of Michael Letts, investusa.org, investusa.org. It's funny, and I don't want to see anybody die. They're all God's children, but you can't be doing certain things, and you'll have to let God sort it out in the afterlife, I guess. But I'm watching these bombs hit these ships, and say, well, you shouldn't have done that. The only problem with the bombing of these drug boats is I saw the movie, previews of the movie Cocaine Bear. And I'm afraid with all these drugs sinking to the bottom of the ocean, we're going to end up with a cocaine Shamu here real soon, and it's going to go bad.
That's a very real possibility, Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to have sharks with no teeth because they ate all the meth. It's going to be bad. I guess surfers will benefit from this because we're going to have great whites with no teeth going and dark circles under their eyes. The meth shark family. It's going to be great.
Well, we'll figure out some way of solving that. We always do, Jimmy. It's a good little time.
Yeah. Cocaine Shamu scares me. I've been to SeaWorld before they stopped letting you see the whale shows. It was always great, but yeah, I don't want one of those guys on cocaine. It's fascinating. Michael, here's my final question of this. All the Democrats are putting chaos on the streets. I heard a theory last night that's what they want. They want chaos on the street. They want the SNAP benefits to end, because if they get the SNAP benefits in, the natives, if you will, people are hungry. They start to riot, and maybe with shutting down this government, that they can just keep chaos going on the street. Is that really how I guess sick and twisted the Democrats are, fighting this thing about a government shutdown for a continuing resolution that Chuck Schumer actually wrote himself back in the day? Is that what they're hoping for? More rioting in the streets?
That's exactly what they do. That's been their objective all along. They want to bring us into a civil war. They want to use that to topple the government. They tried to do it through a false election in 2020, succeeded, got their candidate in, but he did such a poor job. Nobody ever wanted to go back to that again. So now they want to go ahead and topple it through a civil war. Why do you think the president, when he was in Japan, mentioned the day before yesterday that to our active military, that be advised, you may be being called up to actually defend our soil, on our soil, because of the fact he knows good and well what happens when you start taking, or benefits start being removed from people who think they're entitled. I think that's the key, Jimmy. Everybody thinks, whether you're a citizen or not, I'm entitled to everything that's out there, and I'm going to take it. If you don't give it to me, I'm going to not just go ahead and throw a temper tantrum. I might go to the next step and start getting violent. And so the president has got us prepared. Plans are in place. Just like I said, Venezuela, big mistake on thinking you can outrun the U.S. Navy. You saw what happened there. Let me tell Americans who are considering that move, big mistake. We will do what is necessary to maintain peace and law and order. To all the rest of the American citizens, we're not looking at a military dictatorship. The last thing ever crossed our mind. We're just going to make sure that we abide by the Constitution and provide the safety that you're guaranteed in that Constitution. You can be free and safe in this country. And we're going to see to it that nobody takes that away from you.
Democrats tried to upset the country by politics and lies and political aspirations and impeachments in the first Trump term, and now they don't have that power. And so the way they're going to invoke pain on the country and pain on the president is to try to just bring chaos in a different way, and that's what we're watching unfold. These are Captain Chaos people. Captain Chaos Chuck Schumer is there. Michael Letts, it's always a pleasure. I don't know. I don't know if you watch any great television shows, past, present, or future. We have a question of the day. What is your favorite family of the day? Television family. Mine was easy. Even producer Chad, before I got it out of my mouth, I'm a collector. It's weird, but I collect all things Leave It to Beavers. So Hugh Beaumont, Barbara Billingsley, Tony Dow, Jerry Mathers is the Beaver. That's my favorite all-time television family. Do you have a favorite all-time? They could be current or past television family.
I do, and I can tell you quickly the reason. Little House on the Prairie. You say, why do you care about that? One thing you notice in all their episodes is they taught a character value. And I think that's something that's missing in our entertainment today. There's nothing wrong with learning character and values. And that's one way you can make sure it gets impressed upon our young people is making it part of good shows, and that's why that was one of my favorites.
Yeah, Little House, Michael Landon, Melissa Gilbert. I can't think of those are the two actors and actresses I come up with off the.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah, Mike, I'm actually proud of myself. Any of my friends know that I'm not a trivia movie guy or television guy, so I'm actually proud of myself. Michael Letts, it's a pleasure, sir. InvestUSA.org, InvestUSA.org. If you haven't gone to his website, go to the website. Look it up on Twitter also, or X as we call it, and a lot of good material, some of the replays of segments of shows that he's on. InvestUSA.org. Michael Letts, God bless you, sir. We'll talk again soon. Thank you very much. InvestUSA.org. Everybody happy to be here? I'm still happy to be here. All right, we're going to dive into some more news, but I want to review some of the answers of the question of the day. The question of the day is, who is your favorite television family of all times? Craig says from YouTube, Modern Family, Sofia Vergara is easy on the eyes. You know, Craig, a lot of people say the same thing about me. I'm easy on the eyes. You're welcome. So yes, Modern Family. I've never watched it. Have I watched that? I don't think I watched it. You know what? I sometimes will watch a sitcom and get kind of interested in it on television, on airplanes, because sometimes you'll have like 5 episodes. There's a little episode that I thought was kind of cute and cool. I watched years ago. I think it's actually on. I've only watched it on airplanes. I've never wasted my time in front of the television. But on airplanes, you plug it in, seat entertainment. It was called Abbott Elementary. That's a kind of fun show. I mean, it was a public education in inner cities and always fighting for spending and fighting dysfunction, so that's good. Kevin jumps in on the YouTube and says, the Flintstones. They're a modern Stone Age family, sir. That's why they were so wonderful, the modern Stone Age family. Yeah, the cartoon family, which was a family. And this was, I think, the cool thing. You'd watch a television family on, and you would say, man, I wish they were my parents, or I wish that was my house. Somebody mentioned the Brady Bunch earlier. I used to watch the Brady Bunch. My sister and I remember what we watched. The Brady Bunch was a big deal. And I think this was not like, it wasn't live Brady Bunch, because that was before my time, but it was already in syndication, already in rerun. And I just thought like the Brady Bunch was the coolest thing because, well, I know the boys all had a shared bedroom, which I didn't have any brothers. So I thought, okay, that's, I guess, but they had cool bunk beds. I remember that. And I remember as a kid thinking I could build a cool fort in that. But I think the other thing, anybody remember when Greg moved into the attic and he had these hippie kind of beans? And I asked my dad at the time, I said, any way we could build a walk-in attic? I don't know how he had a walk-in attic. It was a wonderful thing. Greg lived in the attic. I thought that was a kind of cool thing. Yeah, the family was good. The family didn't have any real drama, though. Didn't have real drama. Did they? Did they have any real drama? I mean, I don't think anybody was out smoking dope and doing hookers. I don't, on the Brady Bunch. It was all pretty. They were pretty tame teenagers. I mean, I know there's certain things you can talk about on television at the time. I want to give you a television family. I'm not saying they're a great family. It's just that I found it an interesting show. I was over the weekend. I was trying to just refocus a little bit and not do news and not do Fox and not do Newsmax and not just, I was just saying, I want to watch something. So I went to see if there was a show on Netflix that I might want to watch on Friday evening. As I was sitting in my cigar room alone and just having lighting up a cigar and enjoying life in the big leather chair. And I'm watching, and there's a show. And again, I'm really outdated, I know, but I didn't know it was a show. It has Ashton Kutcher in it. And it's called The Ranch, and it's like an 8-season sitcom, I guess. It came out on Netflix, created for Netflix in 2020. And if you remember Ashton Kutcher when he became on the 3.5 Men show, when he stepped in there for Charlie Sheen, it's the writers that wrote 2.5 Men. Yeah, 2.5 Men. That have written this thing. And it's about this dysfunctional family, an old cranky guy. You might recognize him as one of the actors from a lot of the old Western movies. He's there. He's the dad. He's a rancher. The rancher's not doing well. He's got 2 sons that are basically Ashton and this other guy, and they're drunk and immature and live at home. And you got mom and dad have been separated after 30, 40 years of marriage. Sam Elliott, thank you. Kevin Withers says that out there. I know who he is. There it is right there. Sam Elliott's in it. I've never watched it. I thought it was kind of a fun show. Now I'll tell you, it's 2.5 Men, and they have bad language. They say naughty words. So it is a Netflix show, so be careful. And it's interesting. It's just kind of this drama. One character gets pregnant. It's just you'll watch it and you'll enjoy it if you're looking for some mind numbing. Now I feel bad because people are going, The Ranch was pretty good. Yeah, 2020. This is how far behind I am on my television time. I don't even know about that. See, Barbara says The Ranch is good. Highway Living says The Ranch was good. How am I the only guy that doesn't know about The Ranch? I never heard about it. And I'm like in season 3 of it. And I've been watching it. Yeah. I feel so bad. I didn't know about The Ranch. Anybody else know about The Ranch? All right. Speaking of television, anybody remember the old-time television shows out there that were out there? The old-time television shows where like Lucy and Ricky could not sleep in the same bed. Lucy and Ricky Ricardo could not sleep in the same bed because it would be bad for the television eyes to see such naughtiness. Well, there's a record. Evidently, there's people that actually do sleep in separate beds. I find it interesting, but they say a lot of times older couples will sleep in separate beds as well. And there's a new study out there. I'm just going to give you a warning. This is marital and relationship advice with Jimmy. Sleeping apart like Lucy and Ricky Ricardo might not be the key to happiness in a relationship. And I understand sometimes you end up on the couch and something like that, or you fall asleep in a chair. But sleeping separately from a partner, even inhabiting different rooms, evidently some people do that. Recent trends say that it's called a sleep divorce, and they have highlighted the benefits of sleeping separately and sometimes inhabiting different rooms. The Scandinavian sleep method is a cultural design to improve sleep quality in Nordic countries like Sweden and Norway. It's popularized the concept of having 2 separate duvets on one bed. But a new study by researchers in Taiwan, or Taiwan, as you say, the Southerner says Taiwan. But if you're like not a Southerner, you go Taiwan. But I go Taiwan. It's like that, Taiwan. Researchers in Taiwan suggest that sleeping apart from your significant other may decrease your psychological well-being. The research published in the journal BMC Public Health surveyed 860 older adults with heterosexual couples in northern Taiwan, to investigate the link between psychological well-being and sleeping arrangements. The analysis considered both individuals and couple characteristics. Psychological well-being was measured by happiness, life satisfaction, and fulfillment, while sleep measures were assessed using a detailed statistical method. The results reveal, drum roll please, we have a drum roll, we just don't need to do it. I was joking. Revealed that the older couples who slept in separate rooms had worse psychological well-being compared to couples who slept together. For older couples, living arrangements such as sharing a home were less predictive of psychological well-being than sharing a sleep space. Researchers conclude that sleeping arrangements represent a significant factor in a couple's psychological well-being. This underscores the importance of considering sleep in the context of a couple's relationship, and sleep together, actual sleep, you know what I'm saying, not sleeping together, but actual sleep in the context of a couple's relationship will actually bring you closer together, and they say it's part of your psychological well-being. So first and foremost, I'd like to address the question, is there anybody, I know they did it, Lucy and Ricky, Ricardo slept separately, but that was for the TV censors. Anybody watch the show on Netflix called The Crown? You realize that Elizabeth and her hubby, they slept in separate chambers, but, you know, that's the life of the royals. I just think that was, it was interesting. I've never known anybody that sleeps in separate rooms, and perhaps I just don't know people's sleeping arrangements. But if you're a couple that are married in spousal units and you're sleeping in separate rooms, you're probably going crazy because it's psychological. So you need to get back in bed together, sing some Kumbaya, and get back together and sleep together. It's important. There you have it. I'm saving marriages here. All right, now, see, people know about The Ranch. Delilah, how am I the only person out there that did not know about The Ranch? I just started watching it Friday, did not know it existed. Ranch was awesome, but eventually canceled because Danny Matterson got arrested for rape. How am I the only guy that doesn't know this stuff? Do I never watch TMZ enough? I didn't even know the guy's name was Danny Matterson. I've got to look this up today. I'm going to be finding out what happened to The Ranch. But it's a fun little show. It's it's mind numbing. It's and you're watching this family going, yeah, that's kind of dysfunctional. And then you're like, well, if there's anybody out there, isn't it amazing? We all think we live in the dysfunctional family, and everybody else is like a postcard. And that's why I think TV families so resonate with us, is that we want to, we want to, yeah, we want we like that family because they look less dysfunctional ours, but those families, as you know, are made for television. By the way, if you were like me and The Ranch is something you have never seen, it's Netflix, came out, I guess, 2020. I think there's 8 seasons or 4 seasons. I don't remember. I'm on 3. I know that episode 3 of 3 on 3. I don't know what I'm on. But I'll tell you, it's based in an imaginary town in Colorado. And so they're high country ranchers, cattle ranchers, and so there's a lot of Colorado references, a lot of references to Denver and Boulder. So those of us in Colorado, we kind of find that interesting. I did look up, the town does not exist and never has. There was a road or area of town that was called that, but it's a fake town in Colorado that they did for Hollywood purposes. So anyway, I guess I'm the I guess I'm the only guy that doesn't know all this stuff about the ranch. Here I thought I was going to give you a little insider tip about some little thing on the Netflix. Obviously, some of you have more time on Netflix than I do. I didn't even see it. I didn't even know it existed. But again, I'm the guy that logs into Netflix and goes, how does this work? I don't ever watch. I don't do this. This is why it's such a big deal to sit down and share some little television time watching Netflix. I just don't do that. All right, let's get back to this very serious question. The warning couple for the older couples who sleep together. They never showed Ward and June Cleaver in the bedroom. But, Leave It to Beaver as a television family, Lucy and Ricky Ricardo, that was controversial because they showed the inside of the master's chamber, if you will. They showed the inside of the master bedroom, and they had to be in separate beds. You remember that? Well, do you know how Leave It to Beaver was groundbreaking? Leave It to Beaver was groundbreaking because they actually, in an episode early on, showed not a bedroom, not parents sleeping in the same bed together. They showed a toilet. And it was actually very controversial in the Leave It to Beaver sitcom at the time as to whether they could actually show a toilet on television. And I believe the first time they did it was when Beaver, was there a fish? I think he had a fish. He kept it in the toilet tank. There was something involved. There was a toilet. Yeah, that's Leave It to Beaver was very controversial for showing a toilet. So you can imagine how much the bed chamber of 2 grown adults would be. Very controversial. Very controversial. But yeah, the toilet in Leave It to Beaver was a great big controversy. And, I know, can you imagine they're doing the scene and what's that blurred out in the corner? That's the toilet. We have a blur spot. You can't see the keister. Yeah, do that. So anyway, just throw that out there for you. Still surprised I'm the only guy that knew about the ranch. So anyway, I didn't know about the ranch. Ozzie and Harriet. There's an old family for you. Brady Bunch, I think, has been mentioned. A question of the day, if you're just joining us, is who is your favorite television sitcom family of all time? You know what I do notice is that, remember the Cosby Show? Nobody's saying that. It used to be that was America's Family. Everyone wanted that whole Cosby feel going on, right? The Huxtables, I think it's called. Everybody wanted that. But now no one's mentioning it. I wonder why, Delilah. No one's wanting to be the family on the Cosby. It used to be everybody wanted that family. You wanted your dad to have the cool sweaters like he does. Oh, look. Oh, Jeff says it. Oh, come on. Cosby's. Okay, of course Jeff wants to be the Cosby's. Brady Bunch and the Addams Family. Now, we had the Munsters and the Addams Family. That's just weird to me. That's strange, the Munsters and the Addams Family. Leave it to somebody that wants to be the Cosbys. That's sick and wrong, I think. Sick and wrong. All right, ladies and gentlemen, glad to have you here on the show. Sherry Cree is a great friend of the show. We talk about her often on the program. Great, one of our sponsors that has helped us sustain and launch this thing, which we're coming up on a little anniversary soon. And we appreciate Sherry. Listen, if you're in the real estate market, ready to buy, to sell, or maybe prepare. A lot of times you're not ready to do it, and she can help you get ready to do it. You're ready to do it, but you're not ready to do it. And there's some steps along the way that if you get ready to do it the right way, and you dot the right I's, you cross the right T's, you do the right thing, then you can end up getting top dollar for your home. And listen, the better transaction you have and the better role that the better way that you navigate the real estate market, whether buying, selling, relocating, upsizing, downsize, you want to be able to use that investment of a home and the big payments you're making for that. You want that to be something that possibly can create generational wealth. And that's what Sherry Cree does. She looks at the whole thing and she wants to help you make the best decision. She wants to help you get the right pricing. She wants to help you understand all the options that are out there. She really is kind of a Sherpa. She's a ninja navigating everything for you. And again, and it's all get you in the best position to make the best decision and the best deal. Talk to her. You're thinking about selling your home. You're thinking about buying a home. Maybe you say, well, Jimmy, it's almost November. I don't want to deal with this now. I'll deal with that for the first of the year. Well, then now is the time to talk to Sherry Cree. Let's say if you're thinking even next springtime, February, March, April, and you say, I'll deal with it then. No, start getting ready now. Homeswithsherry.com, a great realtor. And if you're in that I-25 corridor in Colorado, I-25 corridor from Fort Collins down, head on down into Denver, the Park Meadows, the Highlands Ranch, the Aurora area, the Parker area, the Boulder, the Broomfield. You know the area. If you're in Colorado, you know that I-25 corridor, Highway 36 corridor. If you may be wanting to move out in one of the new neighborhoods out by the Denver International Airport, the Aurora Highlands, these are all just up-and-coming developments. Which one has the best prognosis long-term? Where can you get the best bang for your buck? All of these questions, Sherry's ready to help you with. Homeswithsherry.com. Again, if you're thinking about next year, now's the time to start strategizing and talking about next year. There's going to be nothing that's not going to cost you anything to start thinking about talking about next year, but it's going to get you ahead of the game, and that way you can get your house on the market and or start looking at the right time before everybody else is there, and have a lot more choices out there. Either way, buying or selling. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. Sherry Cree. Don't forget, for every transaction you do with her, she'll take a portion of her proceeds, our commissions, and donate that to the charity of your choice. If you're a veteran, first responder, military service, active duty, she'll discount her commissions as well, just to make your dreams come true and get in the home and have a little bit more flexibility in the home. Homeswithsherry.com. Homeswithsherry.com. Be sure to tell her that Jimmy Lakey, that's me, was talking about her. Homeswithsherry.com. All right, good to have all of you here on the show. I've got a lot of stories we did not get to today, but good conversation with Michael Letts. Let me tease tomorrow's program, if we may. We're going to remind you again about Operation Arctic Frost. Also, Pam Bondi is probing the Autopen. It's not dirty. It's a real thing. She has had a referral and some information given to her from the House Oversight Committee. The Department of Justice is now looking at the Autopen to see if there's any kind of legality that if it's proven that Joe Biden did not know he was signing certain pardons or certain activities, then maybe they're null and void. Pam Bondi is probing the Autopen. We'll talk about that. The Department of Justice is threatening states like Colorado that won't clean up their voter rolls. The Department of Justice maybe have some news for some of these states. We'll talk about that. Obama's dropping the F-bomb. We'll talk about that tomorrow as well. Obama drops the F-bomb at Nancy. A lot of you probably dropped the F-bomb at Nancy Pelosi as well, but he did it to her face. Yeah, hold on to that. And also, remember in Texas, you grew up saying, remember the Alamo. Anybody remember the Tylenol story we had a couple of weeks ago? The left went crazy because Robert F. Kennedy and Trump said that Tylenol and acetaminophen could have a link to autism, according to certain studies that have been out there. Well, guess what? Remember the Alamo? No, it's remember the Tylenol. There's a follow-up to this Tylenol story that has not been talked about a lot, and I'm going to circle back around that. So that's all coming up on the program tomorrow. All right, final pass at the chat room out there. Somebody says, happy days, different strokes. There's too many to list. You can tell the Gen Xers are. We all know the same shows. The Cunninghams. That was a fun show. Yeah, that was a fun one. Different Strokes. That was an adoptive interracial family. Was it Mr. Drummond? I think Mr. Drummond. What you talking about, baby? Yeah, Mr. Drummond, Todd Bridges, Gary Coleman. I got the rest of it. By the way, on the ranch, remember the housekeeper on 2.5 Men? Last night, she made a cameo sitting at the bar with a guy named Hank. Hank's a good guy. I like Hank. He reminds me of producer Chad. Not the beard and stuff, but that stuff. Willis, what you talking about, Willis? Yeah, I see it. I see that everybody's putting stuff in the chat room. I'm just I sound like, if you're listening to the audio version of this program, the podcast right now, you're going, does he have Tourette's? Does he just go, Willis? Does he just scream, Willis? Yeah, probably did. Hey, by the way, if you don't follow us on the podcast platforms, go do so again. Thousands of earballs will either see or hear this show by the time it circulates in all the pathways. I appreciate those of you who tune in live on the many Facebook feeds. We're on the Rumbles, the YouTubes, all the feeds. Rather, appreciate all of you who tune in live. But a lot of you also will listen later in the day on the podcast platforms. That's going to be Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart as well, Podbean. If it's a podcast platform of any due respect, we're on there. Just look up Jimmy Lakey Unleashed. Would love for you to do that. All right, lastly, before we wrap up for the day, I've teased tomorrow's show. Before we wrap up for today, I want to remind you about our charity work. We're going to be launching here in the next couple of, probably by tomorrow, have some real call to action for some of you to participate in end-of-year giving and heading towards all those Colorado Gives Days. And also, I'm heading to Rwanda in about a month from now. I will be there, and we'll do some of the shows from over there, and I will be able to personally deliver your greetings and your donations there and make a difference in the lives of kids. So everybody start preparing your hearts for that. And that's a good thing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it has been a pleasure to be here with you on the show today. Getting out of here on time. Lots of stories left on the table. A lot of things to talk about tomorrow. Back from jury duty. Guilty. Nah, they did not need my services. Might have been the ice hat I was wearing and the MAGA shirt. I don't know. But they did not want me. Okay, so stay far away from the jury, Mr. Lakey. You're welcome. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mean this from the bottom of my heart. May God bless you. May God bless America. Our charity work is at riverspromise.org. We'll tell you how you start getting involved with that, but you can go check it out yourself. God bless you. God bless America. I am Jimmy Lakey. Peace. I'm out of here.